Thank you everyone for coming today. For this session, we're going to be talking about empowering everyone in your organization to drive digital transformation with Microsoft Power Platform. It is the single longest title I've ever seen at Ignite, so we're very proud of that. We had a lot of great content to talk about today. So to kind of level set, there were a few big changes announced today when we talk about the Power Platform. The first is that Microsoft Flow is now Power Automate. So the same great capabilities you're used to for a low-code environment to automate tasks across APIs and everything else is brought forward with the new UI Flow capabilities to also enable robotic process automation. We also had the first brand new addition to the Power Platform in a while, which is Power Virtual Agents, which make it easy without writing any code at all to go build chatbots and virtual agents on top of it. We also have Power BI, which is the very first Power Platform member, which makes it easy to analyze data and get business value from it. And of course, Power Apps, which makes it incredibly simple to build web and mobile applications without having to write any code. And supporting across all four of these elements are three cross-cutting capabilities. The first is the data connectors, which make it possible to connect to all of your existing business data without having to write any code or do any integration, which is really essential to truly empowering every developer, the citizen developer, business analysts, as well as professional developers. We also have the Common Data Service, which is the core for all of your business data to store it in a secure way, deliver great value on top of it. And then rounding that all out is AI Builder, making it very easy without any code at all to go use machine learning as well as predictive capabilities and cognitive services inside of your apps, your flows, your dashboards, all of that in a very natural and easy to use way. And all of this has great connective tissue between them. And that's a really important point that we'd like to talk about. The Power Platform is not just a branding name. It's something really important to how you can get the most value from each of these products. If you're just using Power Apps but not using Power BI, you're leaving a ton of value on the table, and vice versa. If you're using Power Automate but you're not using Power Apps or Power BI, the same things apply. Because what you can start to see is that the same type of user who can actually go quickly with any one of these products can go quickly with all products together. And there's amazing symbiotic relationships. So if you build a Power App to go digitize a pen and paper process for the first time, you're generating tons of great digital data that you can then put a Power BI dashboard on top. And that allows you to go tune your business process, become more efficient, and make better decisions all the time. In the case of Power Automate, you can go respond automatically to changes in data or KPIs or alerts inside of your Power BI dashboards and reports. Or you can also start to automate away parts of the human process or the business process inside of your Power App. And all of this connecting together is underpinned by the Common Data Service, which is where all of that core business data that you generate and operate on across the Power Platform can be stored, managed, and secured. And these capabilities don't just stop inside the Power Platform. They extend out to Azure as well. And that's one of the most important things that we're trying to really emphasize this week at Ignite when it comes to the Power Platform, is that it's not just about citizen devs or business devs, it's every developer. If you're a professional developer, you can use Power Apps in Azure or Power BI in Azure and actually get a ton of more efficiency and productivity as part of your development projects in a way that really hasn't existed anywhere else in the market up to this point. We're the only cloud vendor that not only supports infrastructure, but also has a complete low-code development environment. And all of this is supported by all the great dev tools that you know and love from Microsoft. Visual Studio, VS Code, Azure DevOps, and GitHub all support integrations with the Power Platform. And this allows you to really start in the Power Platform without any code, continue to iterate and grow your solution. And if you ever need to break out and get access and more control, you can easily do that inside of Azure without having to worry about starting over. So that combination of Power Platform and Azure really is a winning combo from what we're seeing with a lot of our customers. And one of my favorite examples of that out there is what we've seen with SNCF, which is the French National Railway. So they have a great story where they've actually used the different elements of the Power Platform together with parts of Office 365, as well as Azure, and in particular Azure API management, to really transform how they go do digital initiatives at the company. So let's watch this short video from them.
Je suis Henri Pideau, je suis le directeur de la performance et la transformation numérique du groupe SNCF.
Je suis Magali Dupin, donc responsable amélioration continue au sein du Technicentre industriel de Saint-Pierre-des-Corps et du Technicentre de maintenance. Le digital est un outil qui nous permet de nous améliorer, on en est tous persuadés. Voilà. Mais c'est comment le porter à l'ensemble de nos collaborateurs.
L'enjeu de ce programme, c'était d'amener le digital dans l'ensemble de l'entreprise.
L'idée, c'est le digital utile pour tous et à n'importe quel moment. Lorsqu'on a accompagné le déploiement de ces outils digitaux et l'explication, et on a donné envie, tout agent qu'il travaille de nuit ou qu'il travaille de journée, il était en mesure d'exprimer des innovations ou des idées d'amélioration de son travail au quotidien. Sur le processus même de la maintenance, on a une application qu'on a nommée DigiBogie.
On remonte des bogies de A à Z. Au départ, on faisait tout sur papier. Il pouvait y avoir des risques d'erreur, etc.
70% des bogies appairées ressortaient insatisfaisants. Donc on était obligé de renouveler l'opération.
Et le fait de passer par une application, on est sûr que les calculs sont bons, que les appairages sont faits comme il faut.
Donc DigiBogie fait partie de ces grandes innovations pour pouvoir fiabiliser et rendre nettement plus robuste notre manière de produire.
L'arrivée de ces nouveaux outils, Power Apps, Flow, Power BI, en fin de compte, a permis aux métiers, aux établissements de se rendre autonomes dans l'usage de cette plateforme.
Je suis Ludovic Malandra, je travaille à la direction performance et transformation numérique du groupe SNCF et je crée une synergie entre les différents métiers, notamment les SI, l'école numérique, les établissements, pour leur permettre de travailler autrement et d'apporter au groupe de nouveaux usages. Du fait qu'on est un grand groupe, on est obligé d'avoir une gouvernance et également un monitoring de tout ce qui se passe sur le terrain au niveau de la Power Platform. Et nous avons vite vu qu'il était nécessaire de créer un store pour partager notre expérience. On retrouve toutes les fonctionnalités nécessaires pour réaliser l'application. Et l'intérêt également de ces applications, c'est de les mettre en avant celles qui ont du succès.
La question qu'il faut avoir en tête pour accompagner cette autonomie, c'est quel est le rôle de la DSI finalement ? Et en fin de compte, on a travaillé sur un vrai positionnement de la DSI sur des thèmes très particuliers qui sont la mise à disposition de référentiels fiables, l'ouverture des systèmes d'information régaliens avec des API, de telle façon que les métiers puissent s'approprier, puissent consommer ces référentiels, ces API, de manière transversale. Et on a repositionné la stratégie de la DSI sur ces thèmes-là pour qu'ils puissent accueillir aussi cette plateforme et ne la combattent pas, je dirais, parce qu'ils auraient peur de perdre une partie de leurs prérogatives vis-à-vis des métiers.
So one of the really interesting things that Satya talked about in his keynote this morning was how every company is increasingly becoming a software company and needs to have developers. So SNCF, a national railway company, is actually this focus on creating new development opportunities and new development transformation is a great example of that in action. And they're not the only one. We see phenomenal adoption across all the different segments and categories where Microsoft delivers software. Just fantastic rapid adoption across the entire Power Platform. We see over 3 million monthly active developers on the Power Platform with over 7x growth in production Power Apps in just the last 12 months. We also saw an over 3x increase in the number of monthly active users for Power Apps and now have over 97% of the Fortune 500 using Power BI. And across all of that, it's over 25 million different data models being deployed and operated inside of the Power BI service. And one of my favorite metrics is that last one, which is over 25 billion Power Automate steps run every single day. That's a bunch of automations and flows out there that are simplifying and improving the work environment for all of our users and customers out there today. And these are great numbers, but these don't kind of highlight my favorite numbers, which is the Power Platform community. Because what makes the Power Platform so special is not necessarily the products that we ship or the customers that we work with, but just how vibrant and enthusiastic this Power Platform community is. There's over 1.4 million monthly active community members across the Power Platform products. There's over 100,000 people that have gone to a physical in-person event. There's over 389,000 users who submitted ideas. This is the lifeblood, the heart and soul of all the Power Platform that we're doing today. And without this great community, we know that we wouldn't be able to go reach and evolve the product so consistently and aggressively across all of the Power Platform over the last couple of years as we really go start to create this brand new category of complete holistic low-code platforms. So, and one of the best ways that we actually see this is through the analyst reviews as well. Power Apps was rated as a clear leader when it comes to the Gartner Magic Quadrant for low-code platforms. And we also have Power BI as a far and away leader when it comes to AI and analytics inside of companies, whether it be enterprise or small, medium business. Just this great, basically, adoption and vision around how do you improve these Power Platform products is really being broadly recognized. And one of the best places where we see that is the updates we just did for Power Automate. The new RPA capabilities augment the already rich and simple yet powerful visual design experience for creating automations and workflows with with Power Automate, excuse me. Still getting used to the name myself. And they make it just, whether it's a legacy application, which you can only get at through UI, or a new API-based application, you can go integrate all of that with Power Automate. And a really core tenet across all the Power Platform is to make it so that you can have strong governance and strong security as you go empower your entire business to go build these things. And there's always that last bit, which is professional developers can go extend and enrich whatever you're investing in and improving with the Power Platform, so you can go have your developers do higher leverage, high value solutions. We actually see this as creating a brand new type of role for professional developers in enterprises that go bet on the Power Platform. And some of the big investments that we just released really have to do with that robotic process automation support, the ability to go record and view and debug all of these different UI flows, whether you want to run them locally on your machine or remote on a server in the cloud, making it easy to go automate across all the different systems that you run and encounter inside of a typical enterprise. Because we recognize that it's an incredibly heterogeneous world out there between modern and legacy, between Microsoft and non-Microsoft services, and we need to make sure that we support all of them equally inside of Power Automate. And a core part of robotic process automation is how you go use partners to implement them inside of your business. And we're incredibly excited to announce today that Power Automate has 6 major launch partners which support Power Automate and the broader Power Platform: KPMG, Power Objects, Infosys, Accenture, Avanade, and Ernst & Young. All are actually standing with us and talking about the brand new Power Automate launch, because this partner ecosystem is really key to go drive the rapid adoption that we're so focused on when it comes to the Power Platform. And it's not just the big, heavy items like UI flows that we announced very recently. It's also lots of smaller, incredibly powerful elements. We have all the great AI builder integrations inside of Power Automate, where you can do things like object detection or text classification or prediction. The ability to go have a bunch of new flow checker rules so you can easily understand what's going wrong, where your performance issues are, or where potential errors are inside of your flow definition. Making it easy so you can go take Flow or Power Automate directly inside of Microsoft Teams, and even go set it up so you can use a brand new business process flow capability that's been around in Dynamics 365 more naturally and natively across all of your Power Automate solutions. And another big addition to that Power Platform is that Power Virtual Agents capability. Across tons of different channels, you can go create those low-code chatbots so you can easily engage your employees or your customers or your partners, whomever you're working with a very modern UI for actually doing chat and text conversations. And this is a very rich experience which uses the same design paradigms of visual authoring and also visual debugging, as you saw in the demo earlier this morning for tracing on the actual individual steps. And Power Virtual Agent also has a bunch of great new announcements that we're happy to share, like the ability to go bring your bots to a bunch of new channels out of the box, as well as the ability to go interface with all the Power Automate and data connectors we already have inside the Power Platform. And lastly, the ability to go understand your analytics and your data that's being generated by these bots. Because the reality for any solution is when you first build it, it's not going to cover everything you need, but you need to quickly understand what are the topics that you're missing and which ones need improvement over time. And all of these improvements carry through to Microsoft Power Apps as well. Power Apps, for those who don't know, hopefully you do, makes it very easy to build web and mobile applications without running any code. Think of something like PowerPoint and Excel, but allows you to create deep, rich experiences. It supports the same 275 connectors that Power Automate does, and also has the same Power Platform Admin Center, so you can empower your entire business to go build these applications without having to worry about how do you govern them and secure them with things like data loss prevention to ensure that data doesn't leave your company that shouldn't. And of course, there's great developer extensibility points with Power Apps component framework for UI elements, as well as server-side connectors and logic. And the three big things we really want to focus on today would be the fact that AI Builder reached general availability back in October, bringing intelligence to all of your Power Apps out of the box. The Power Apps portals also reached general availability in the month of October, so you can now create experiences that are usable by people outside of your company without being only constrained by people who are inside your AED tenant. And that means anonymous login or B2C type logins through Azure Active Directory, making it possible to reach a whole new set of users using the Power Platform. And lastly, those great professional developer improvements. The ability to go use Visual Studio and VS Code in conjunction with Azure DevOps, so you can have a complete continuous integration, continuous deployment setup when it comes to Power Apps. This is one of the top requests we get from customers, and we took a really big step forward over the last 6 months, but we still have some more improvements to do over time. But we think this is really essential to achieving that mission of making Azure plus Power Platform truly better together. And underneath Power Apps is the Common Data Service, which makes it incredibly easy to go store and manage all of your important business data. And if you're using Power Apps in a broader Power Platform without using the Common Data Service or CDS, you're really missing out on one of the most powerful and rich capabilities that exists in the Power Platform. CDS makes it so that you can easily store and query and report and manage your data in a secure way with APIs and workflows and logic that can all be generated automatically. And we can see that across all the broad capabilities that exist in CDS. And these just stack on top of one another, one after the other. And this makes it possible so that you can just define a table or entity very easily, but then you get rich security models on top of it, like row-based security or role-based security or field-level security, ability to go embed logic around defaulting fields or validation or even calls out to other systems, to having a rich API, whether it be OData, REST, or SOAP. You get all that availability, inclusive of an SDK. And of course, all the other great stuff we have in the Power Platform supports CDS as the first and best data source, whether it's in Power Apps or increasingly inside of Power BI. So all of this connective tissue really orients around the Common Data Service when we talk about the Power Platform. And to kind of see a lot of this in action, we can just look no further than a bunch of the great new updates for Power Apps. We have the rich ability to go do views and model-driven application experiences on top of CDS inside of Power Apps. We also have brand new debugging and troubleshooting tools like Power Apps tracing or Power Apps testing, so you can very easily start to build production-grade applications that you update with regularity before you go ship them out. We also have the great support for files and documents, which is one of the most common file types or data types that our customers ask for when it comes to building Power Apps on top of the Common Data Service. And all of this starts to combine across the entire Power Platform, all this new innovation that we just shipped over the last couple of months to really create a complete solution to solve all the different needs that you run into when building a line of business application or wanting to go get more value from the data you already have inside of your enterprise. And one of the best places that we've seen this from a customer point of view is what Lowe's has done. And to show that in action, I'm going to invite Donna onto the stage, who's actually going to walk through a real Lowe's customer story using all of these capabilities together.
Hello. All right. How many of you have ever been to a Lowe's? Hands? Oh, lots of hands. Cool. So for those of you not from North America, Lowe's is an American retail company that specializes in home improvement. Lowe's is actually my dad's favorite store, so I know a lot about Lowe's. In addition to the 2,000 stores that are all over US and Canada, Lowe's has a community of installers who they work with. So there's the employees in the stores and this community of installers. These installers are not Lowe's full-time employees, but rather they're contractors who work with Lowe's. So imagine that Jason here decides he's going to order a dishwasher. Someone from Lowe's, let's call her Donna, goes to his house, and instead of throwing the dishwasher in his front door and walking away, She's going to go in and install it. How many of you want to see that process? Yeah. All right. So what Lowe's does is they have this really, really cool Power Apps portal. So this portal is used, it's called the Service Provider Portal because it's for service providers, these installers. So this portal, you can see that I'm already logged in, Donna, because that's what I do. And this portal gives the service provider all the information they need. So you get all of their news and announcements, all the active jobs, any sort of quotes that have come up, work orders, etc. So let's dig into one of these active jobs and see what active jobs I, as the dishwasher installer, have got going on right now. So I can see that I'm working on this woman named Karen Barnett's dishwasher installation. When I dig into this, this is all Power Apps portal. This is not, a website that you had to hire a web dev to build. This is something that Lowe's built themselves. So you can see that it's got all of the job details and the job info. The job name, the store ID, the customer details, and it's got all the activities. I've already given Karen an estimate. I've gone to her house, scheduled the installation, and completed the installation. Now comes the most important part of an installer's life, which is getting this document signed. So if this document is not signed, that job did not happen. So you can see that there are certain fields that are really important: store number, project number, date, customer name, and customer signature. Now, you'll observe that these are all handwritten. How many of you deal with handwritten things still? Exactly. How many of you know what a pain in the butt it is to process handwritten things? Exactly. So what I need to do now is, once Karen agrees, yep, Donna, the dishwasher's installed, good job, I will upload this completion certificate into the Power Apps portal. So that's exactly what I showed you, that cert there, and I submit it. Now, guess what happens now? Nothing. Until a Lowe's employee physically goes to the portal, gets a bunch of the certificates, opens them one by one, compares the record with the certificate, and says, yep, looks good, yes, there's a signature, they don't release the payment. So at this point, a service provider like me is just kind of hanging out, waiting to be paid until this employee can overcome this bottleneck. They get over 1,000 of these a day. So you can imagine that both for the Lowe's employee as well as the service provider, this is a giant waste of time. So we decided, let's do something about that. Why have a human do a machine's work? We're not going to do that, and I'm not especially, because I'm in my power platforms, right? So, no, really. So I've been waiting all day to make this joke, so just let me have this moment right here. Okay, thank you. Okay, how many of you are good at data science? There's like one guy in the front saying kind of. Yeah, I am really bad at data science. If you know me, I know I'm a C++ dev. Data science and we ain't friends. It's not a thing. So when these folks said, hey, do you want to learn the Lowe's data science thing? I said, no, I don't want to. But they said, no, it's actually pretty straightforward and you can learn it. And to my surprise, it actually is incredibly fun and cool to go and kind of gloat to everyone that I trained my first AI model on stage today. Want to see it? Yeah. All right, so we've been working really hard to create this model called form processing. What form processing does, it takes those certificates that are handwritten and it identifies handwritten fields and is able to process them. So how it does this is, first let's just name the model. Let's name it train because, original. We need 5 documents with the same kind of layout that we want to train against. So we'll create this training model. And these 5 documents that we're going to choose will be super similar to this handwriting certificate. Let's find it. So these are 5 certificates that are also handwritten, exactly like the one you saw before. We upload these 5 documents. We pray to the Wi-Fi gods for this story. Oh, look, it worked. And we start analyzing. Once that model analyzes, you're going to get this form. So the way AI Builder works is there's really 3 steps. 1, you choose the model that you want to work with. We chose form processing. 2, you tailor the model to give you exactly the data that you specifically want. And then the 3rd step is you train the model. So we're going to actually tailor this model. You can see that there are certain fields that we can choose that we're mostly interested in. What AI Builder did from those 5 certificates I uploaded, it identifies the fields that might be interesting to us. So you can see the store number is interesting, project number, date, the customer name, the customer signature. These were the fields that were a little bit different. So it realizes, there's something interesting here. And it's able to identify through the handwriting recognition that these are fields that we want. So once we identify these fields, we hit done, and then the model will start to train. So we will set the model to train, and this will take a few minutes, so we're gonna just go to the model that we trained right before this. So as soon as your model finishes training, it'll take a few minutes, you will be able to say, all right, I would like to now use this model and test it. So we're gonna use this model, and we realize we still have a problem. So now we're able to train this model, but there's still a human interaction, manual labor portion of this program, right? So the machine can tell us, like, yep, your form matches the actual handwriting certificate thing, but a human still has to look at it and approve it. So what can we do about that? We have this amazing little tool called Power Automate, and people use flows all over the world. How many of you have actually built a flow in Power Automate before? That's a lot of you. Okay, so you know this. This is like old news for you. So what this flow does is it triggers a flow whenever someone uploads a certificate. So just like I uploaded a certificate a few minutes ago, it'll trigger this flow. So when a record is created, we're going to parse the JSON. So this JSON is actually in the the certificate that we uploaded. You can see that it's the exact same fields that we cared about, store number, et cetera, et cetera. So it parses the JSON, identifies all of those fields in the cert we cared about. Next, what it's going to do is it's going to find that contact record. So you remember that contact record with the customer's name, the store address, everything. Now, these two have to match, because if the certificate doesn't match the record, that means that we've either submitted the wrong thing or resubmitted something that's not complete or correct. So we're going to set up this condition block over here that does a comparison to say, does the customer's full name in the contact record match the one in the certificate, yes or no? Same with their signature, same with their job number, same with the store ID. So once all of these things are true, it falls into this condition block, yes. If yes, now it's ready for someone at Lowe's to actually look at and say, yep, these are all true. All I need to do is approve or reject. Now, we could send email, but it's not actually 1995 anymore. So let's use this modern newfangled tool called Teams. How many of you use Teams? How many of you like Teams? I do, yeah. And the best part about Teams is you can actually get it on your phone, right? So here's a phone that I have. And what this flow did was it triggered a notification in Teams. So if I'm walking around, if I'm at Lowe's, I'm on the floor helping out a customer, and I get a notification saying, hey, guess what? Donna's finished her dishwasher installation. Do you want to certify the job? Just click, scroll down, please approve this request, approve, yay, submit, yay. And that's it. So we've automated this whole process that used to take someone weeks, months waiting around, and we've done it with, what, 5 coding steps and, a whole bunch of less code and more power. Less code, more power. I will actually give the stage back to Charles, but I do have to do a PSA. This stuff is really fun to learn. Right? I've been on this team for just 2 weeks, and it's insanely fun to learn. It's like playing with Legos, and it's so cool and so interesting. I'm a C++ dev, so believe me, when I say it's fun to learn, it's actually really fun to learn. Now, we're going to create so many learning tools for the next year, so if you're an expert in this, or if you're not, or there's people in your organizations who you wish would learn how to build chatbots, how to build apps, how to build websites with literally less code, more power, please connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to send you all of our learning tools in early beta. We're making a certificate exam as well for people to get certified on. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Donna. What a great demo and what a great story with Lowe's. And the 2 big things that I want to call out from the demo are the fact that you can now use those low-code Power Apps portals to start to reach outside of your company, as well as just how pervasive AI Builder and intelligence is across all the Power Platform now. But now for the last leg of the presentation, I'm going to hand it over to Arun, who's going to come up on the stage and take it home for Power BI. Arun?
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much, Charles. Really excited to be here to talk to you about where we are with Power BI and where we're going. How many of you guys here have already used Power BI? Awesome. All right, that's most of the audience. So for those of you who have not used Power BI is really about making sure that you can connect to data pretty much where it is, wherever it is, on-premise or in the cloud, bring it to exactly the shape you want, and be able to get compelling analytics pretty much on any device. However, when I talk to customers, what gets them most excited about Power BI is the opportunity to drive a data culture across their entire organization, where every single employee can make better decisions based on data. And to make this possible, we're investing in 3 significant areas. The first is to make sure that customers can get amazing data exploration experiences that are infused with AI, but are simple to learn as Office. The second, to make sure that customers can use Power BI to meet their most demanding enterprise scale needs. And the third is to be able to work with Power BI and infuse business intelligence through the entire fabric of the organization, right? So let's talk about these 3 areas. Let's start with the first one. So the first thing that we're focusing on in terms of delivering amazing data and exploration experiences is making sure that Power BI is very, very easy to learn for creators, right? We're making it as simple to learn as PowerPoint is for creators, right? So we're really trying to make Power BI PowerPoint for data. So we've taken a lot of cues from PowerPoint so that everybody who's familiar with PowerPoint can easily get started building great reports in Power BI. Some simple examples, like when you move things around in PowerPoint, you see these little red grid lines up here, right? These alignment guides. Guess what? You can see them in Power BI as well. Another quick example, when you group things together in PowerPoint, they behave together. So you can do exactly the same thing in Power BI. You can group visuals together, you can resize them together, you can move them together. It works exactly like you expect in PowerPoint. Or for example, the way you drive theming in Power BI. It's exactly the way it works in PowerPoint. Even the ribbon that you see in Power BI Desktop is a ribbon that we actually share with Office. We ship the same ribbon so that folks who are already familiar with Office are instantly familiar with Power BI, right? So we want to make it very, very easy for everybody to learn how to create great-looking Power BI reports and dashboards. But it goes much further. It's not only simple to learn, but it's also very, very powerful. We have taken a lot of the AI capabilities that Microsoft has invested in Microsoft Research and Azure AI and baked them into Power BI to create compelling analytics. So for example, if you're going beyond analyzing numbers, if you're analyzing unstructured text, you want to detect language, you want to detect sentiment, you want to extract key phrases, or you want to be able to detect what's in an image, or you want to build an automated machine learning model entirely in Power BI without writing any code, or use AI visuals to be able to figure out what drives specific outcomes, or just converse with Power BI in Q&A, all of these capabilities are built in so that it's not only simple to learn, but it's very, very powerful to use, right? So we have some exciting AI announcements that we're making at Ignite. The first is our new Q&A experience, the ability to just work with Power BI in English. We shipped our brand new Q&A experience about 2 weeks back, so it's already out there. The usage over the last 2 weeks has been stunning. The second capability is the most highly voted capability on our user voice site, so ideas.powerbi.com. So this is the decomposition tree, which we're bringing to Power BI, and it's not only coming in as a decomp tree, but it has some AI smarts built in, so it can automatically detect specific pathways that help you narrow specific outcomes. And the third is we added cognitive services to the Power BI service to be able to analyze unstructured text and images. We're also bringing that to Power BI Desktop, which is a tool that our customers know and love, right? So that's the first set of announcements that we have to make. The second is in helping build some of these enterprise BI capabilities that ensure that IT can meet the most demanding enterprise BI needs with Power BI. And here we have a bit of an unfair advantage because we have SQL Server analysis services and SQL Server reporting services, which have more than a decade of innovation. And we're taking all of these capabilities from AS and RS and baking them directly into Power BI. So whether that's enterprise-grade semantic models or pixel-perfect operational reports that you can just send to the printer, or application lifecycle management, or real-time analytics, these are capabilities that are just built into Power BI. And one of the things that you'll see is while Power BI is growing very, very quickly, the growth of Power BI within large enterprise-wide deployments is growing even faster. So we saw these large enterprise deployments grow 600% just in the last 12 months, which is one of the reasons Power BI is used by more than 97% of the Fortune 500. On our enterprise BI capabilities, we have 3 new capabilities to announce as well. Last week, we went to public preview with our new lineage capabilities. What this means is now you can track in a beautiful visual experience the lineage of all the assets in Power BI, where the data comes from, which data flows it powers, where it goes into in terms of data sets, and which reports and dashboards. The second is automated machine learning is now generally available as of last week. And the third is we are adding, as of today, large models in Power BI. So you can go beyond the 10 gigabyte limit in Power BI Premium all the way to the full memory of the machine, so you can do up to 400 gigabytes of data that's available today in public preview. And remember, that's compressed data. That's 4 to 8 terabytes of uncompressed data that's sitting in Power BI using our in-memory caching engine. Right? So let's talk about the third area, the ability to weave BI deeply into the fabric of the organization. It really starts with trust. And in Power BI, we've built openness into the full stack. The data is open using the common data model. The semantic models are open using the XMLA protocol, and a visualization stack is open so that you can build your own custom visuals if you choose to, or get them from the gallery. Secondly, you probably saw the announcement in Satya's keynote today morning. Power BI is integrated with Azure Synapse Analytics, which is the next generation of Azure SQL Data Warehouse. Third, we want to make sure that these analytics that you get in Power BI are deeply infused throughout your Office experiences. And lastly, the ability to move from insight to action using the other members of the Power Platform. Right? And for this area, we have a few announcements as well. The first one is Azure Synapse Analytics that I just talked about. The second one is something that's really exciting. We're adding data protection to Power BI. As of today, that's now in public preview, which means that you can flag data sets, reports, dashboards, et cetera, in Power BI with the Microsoft Information Protection label. You can mark it highly confidential, for example. That means that even when the data leaves Power BI, it's exported to Excel, exported to PowerPoint, exported to PDF, it carries the label with it, right? So one of the customers we've been working with very closely is Veolia. Veolia is a worldwide leader in energy management solutions. To show you how Veolia uses Power BI and show you some of these demos, I'm going to invite Justina Lichnick on stage. Justina.
Awesome. So in this scenario, I'm playing a Veolia customer, and I'm starting my experience in the Power BI service. So you can see I'm inside the home page. I've got a personalized banner. I've got all the KPIs I care about surfaced right at the top, and all of my favorited items. And I'm going to navigate into my commercial analytics app. And the first thing I wanted to highlight over here is how this entire app just feels like Veolia. I've got my company logo at the top. I've got all my different corporate colors, so I feel right at home. Now, I can go ahead and navigate this amazing report that my analyst has built, and I can see which of my KPIs are trending upwards and which ones are trending downwards. Now, if I at any point in time want to learn more about a KPI and what might actually be causing the trend to be, let's say in this case, down, I can just right-click on this visualization and ask Power BI to analyze the data for me. So in this case, I'm going to ask Power BI to analyze this decrease, and Power BI runs some automated insights and tells me some plausible explanations as to why this decrease has happened. Now, on the left-hand side, you see this amazing app-like navigation that's just included as part of the app. And I can, of course, navigate to different pages that my analyst has included as part of the report. But my analyst can even include content that's outside of Power BI. So imagine for a second we've just finished our quarter, and we have a PowerPoint deck that summarizes all of our data. We can just embed this PowerPoint deck directly inside this experience for me as an end user to navigate. So it's super simple to bring different experiences directly into the Power BI app. So let's take a look at how you can start building some of these awesome experiences in Power BI. The first step, of course, is to get our data. And this is the new data lineage view that Arun had just mentioned. So in my case, I was looking at my commercial analytics report over here, and I may want to track the lineage of this report. So I can see which data sources and data sets it's built on top of, and also which dashboards are being leveraged by this commercial analytics report. I can even see things like whether I'm using certified data sets or not. So you can see this green little icon over here indicates this is a certified data set, which means that it has been endorsed by my admin. So my admin has made this certified. I know this is the single source of truth of data for my organization. So now that all my data is prepared, I can start building out my reports. So now I'm inside the Power BI desktop, which is what our analysts use to create amazing Power BI reports. And you can see the report I was just viewing inside the service. But I also want to provide my end users with more capabilities to actually just explore their data, so new ways to explore data. And this is the new AI visualization that is shipping next week, which is the decomposition tree. So imagine I want to go ahead and manage my costs a little bit better as an end user. I've already started building out this tree, and I'm breaking out all of my costs by the type of waste. Now, I want to focus on my non-recyclable waste, but at this point, I can choose any of these different columns to drill into in any order that I want. So if I want to look at, for example, my most expensive sites, I can just click on the sites, and the tree just automatically expands. But there's more. So imagine I want to explore this Bury Bridge site, which is my most expensive site, and I don't know where to look next. Maybe what's causing the site to be so expensive is some sort of product or some sort of action I took. And instead of going ahead and trying all these different options, I can just ask Power BI to tell me where to look next. So if I'm interested in my high values, Power BI automatically analyzes all my data, and it tells me, you know what, there seems to be something happening in May. Look, it's really, really high in May compared to other months. And so I can now go ahead and drill into this more and explore this, or I can just look at some other paths and just seamlessly analyze my data. Now, another way that our end users like to navigate their data is just using natural language. And so this is a new Q&A visualization that has shipped just 2 weeks ago. Now, what I can go ahead and do is I can select one of these suggested questions. These have been automatically created for me by Power BI. And at this point, this is just another visualization in my report. So as I go ahead and select these various columns over here, the rest of my report just cross-filters automatically. And of course, I can type in my own questions. So let's look at something like maybe weight and recycling rate by place. And you can see I've made a bunch of typos. Doesn't matter. Power BI still understands it. And it figures out that a scatter plot is the best way to visualize this data. But there's more. Because over here, you can see that place was not recognized, not because there are any typos, but because it actually doesn't exist in my data model. But Power BI was still able to answer this question for me. And this is because we're automatically integrating with Office Thesaurus, so we're automatically just annotating your data model with synonyms. So site is in my data model, and we've just figured out, site probably, when you wrote place, probably meant site. Now, as I add different language to this Q&A experience, I also want to understand what sorts of questions are my end users asking. So I can just go ahead and review all the questions that were asked in the Power BI service. And if there's things that my users asked that were not understood, I can just very easily go ahead and fix this, adding new definitions directly in the Q&A experience. The tooling has never been easier. Now, the final feature I wanted to talk about, which we're really, really excited about, is the new data protection capabilities that are coming to Power BI today. And so I've navigated into this Contoso workspace. And you'll notice over here we have this new tab, which is our sensitivity. And we can see some of our reports here have been tagged as highly confidential. So what does that mean? Well, let's navigate into my report. And a very, very common action that people do in their reports is, of course, export the data to Excel. So I'm going to go ahead and export this data. And I'm going to open it up in Excel. But you're going to see something very special over here once this data downloads. And I am going to also pray to the demo gods that the data does download. So let's try this again. There we go. The gods have been kind. So what we're going to see over here is we're going to see that this sensitivity label actually carries on through into Excel. And so what does that mean? It means that my data is now encrypted. If I was to leave the organization, or if I was to leave this data lying around on a USB stick, no one would be able to access this data because you need permissions to access it. So my data is now fully secured. But there's actually more that you can do with this. So now I'm logging in, imagine from an unmanaged device. Imagine this is my home computer. And I want to do the same thing again. I'm going to export this data. But now my organization has actually set a policy that says you're not allowed to download data that's highly sensitive from unmanaged devices. So what's going to happen now is this download is not even going to happen. It's just going to automatically be blocked. So now I can still see all the data in the Power BI service, but I cannot download the data down onto my computer. And if I want to go ahead and monitor all of these things, I can just go into my Power BI admin portal, go into my new protection metrics tab, and see everything that's going on. I can even see things like security threats, things like maybe impossible travel activity. If I'm trying to log in from 2 different places in the world near around the same time, that's not possible. And I can even go into just my Cloud App Security portal and see all of these metrics in the context of Office 365 and Azure and Power BI, all in the same place to monitor all of my data from one place. Thank you so much. With that, I'd like to pass back to Arun.
Thank you so much, Justina. So that's pretty much all we had. So hopefully this session gave you a good introduction to the Power Platform and all the exciting capabilities we have. The good news at Ignite is we have dozens and dozens of sessions that let you go into any of these topics in more detail. So thank you so much for joining us, and have a great Ignite.